Montana, year 1986. Helena was the kind of town where doors remained unlocked, and neighbors knew each other by name. A town of only 25,000 people, nestled between the Rocky Mountains and dense, endless forests. That all changed on October 12, 1986. That was the day David and Laura Whitman, a young married couple, vanished without a trace. The couple had been last seen at the Silver Creek Diner, a roadside restaurant just off Highway 12. The waitress remembered them well. David, a history professor at the local college, had left a $5 tip for a $12 meal, and Laura, a librarian, had chatted about a camping trip they were planning. They never made it. The next morning, their beige Ford pickup truck was found abandoned at a rest stop 20 miles west of Helena, its driver's side door wide open. There was no sign of a struggle, no blood, no footprints leading into the woods. Nothing, except for one eerie clue. Inside the truck, placed deliberately on the dashboard, was a small cassette tape. The label had only one word written in shaky black ink. Listen, that tape changed everything. Detective Frank Holloway, a grizzled veteran of the Helena Police Department, sat in his office as the tape rolled in the player. At first there was silence, then a deep, raspy, horrifying breathing. Then suddenly an undefined voice said,
"They shouldn't have come here. They
well,
did what
then
they
a sound,
weren't
a
supposed
faint,
to."
distant scream cut off abruptly. The recording ended. A cold chill ran down Holloway's spine. What had the Whitmans seen, and who had wanted to silence them? Holloway began to dig into the area where the truck had been found, a remote stretch of forest along the highway. That part of the woods had a history. Between 1952 and 1978, at least 7 people had gone missing in that same 30-mile radius, all under similar circumstances. Abandoned vehicles, no signs of struggle, no bodies ever found. Locals had long whispered about the Helena Vanishings, but no one had ever connected the cases, until now. Holloway had a gut feeling. The Whitmans had stumbled onto something buried in those woods, something they weren't supposed to see. 2 weeks later, an anonymous tip led Holloway to an abandoned hunting cabin 5 miles from where the truck had been found. Inside, the walls were covered in maps, newspaper clippings, and photographs, a disturbing collage of missing person cases, all linked to the Helena Vanishings. And in the center of the room, pinned to the wall, was a photo of David and Laura Whitman. Near the fireplace, Holloway found something even more horrifying. A pile of cassette tapes, each labeled with a different name, each belonging to a missing person. He inserted one at random and pressed play. "He's coming. I don't know how much time I have. Please, if someone finds this." A loud crash, a piercing scream, then silence. On the last tape, Holloway heard something new, a name. He is still watching, he is still waiting. Beware of the man they call Elias Monroe. Suddenly, after these words, Holloway's pulse pounded. That name was familiar. In 1967, Elias Monroe, a former military survivalist, had been accused of murder after a hiker went missing near Helena. But with no body and no evidence, the case was thrown out. Monroe had disappeared shortly after. Now Holloway had a sickening feeling that he hadn't disappeared at all. He had been hunting for decades. The next morning, Holloway led a search team deep into the Helena National Forest. They found a hidden underground bunker, buried beneath the ruins of an old mining shack. Inside were clothes, personal belongings, and more tapes, dozens of them. A graveyard of voices, all stolen from people who had walked into the woods and never walked out. But Monroe was gone. The man who had stalked Helena's forests for nearly 30 years had vanished into the wilderness. David and Laura Whitman, like so many before them, were never found. The legend lives on. In the years that followed, Elias Monroe became a ghost story. Hikers reported strange sounds in the woods, whispers, footsteps, and sometimes a faint rasping breath. In 1993, a cassette tape was found near a campsite. The label read, "Listen." It contained only static, and faintly beneath the noise, a whisper, "I'm still here." To this day, the forests near Helena remain off-limits after the dark, because some say that Elias Monroe never left, that he's still watching, still waiting, for the next person who ventures too far into the woods, and the next voice to be recorded on his tape.